Let me ask you a question. What does it mean to be at home for you? Close your eyes for a moment, everyone. Imagine yourself walking through the threshold of your current home. What do you see? Does someone come to greet you? How does it smell? How is your furniture positioned? Do you see a lot of color, or is it mostly neutral? Is it dimly lit, or is there an abundance of light? Do you have photos or art on the walls? Notice how you feel in your body. Now open your eyes. Personally, I feel a little bit turbulent because I see little toys all over the floor and two kids chasing each other around in circles. The point is, home feels different for every one of us, but one thing is clear. Home is more than a physical space. Home is a space that evokes emotion. I've spent many years as a home stager. For those of you who don't know what home staging is, when you put your house on the market to be sold in the United States, you can pay a home staging professional to come in and dress it up with furniture and home decor to produce an at-home feeling for potential buyers. As a stager, we learned how to manipulate the minds of unsuspecting consumers by profiling them and then appealing to their most basic human needs: the need to feel important, the need to feel beauty, the need for growth, and the need to envision a future different from a past that they may want to leave behind. The first thing we would do is consider our ideal client. Where do they work? What do they do for leisure? What might their dreams and aspirations be for the future? After creating a detailed profile with seemingly insignificant details about their made-up lives, we would set forth designing a beautiful space that would draw that very client to us. For example, if we wanted to attract a newly married couple, we may stage a second bedroom with a neutral nursery, signaling to this imaginary client that their house could accommodate a growing family. Maybe we wanted to sell a swanky condo to a young bachelor. We might set up a small dining table with a wine bottle and 2 glasses, one for him and one for his imaginary Tinder date. We'd throw in a GQ magazine on the coffee table, hang a single sports coat in the bedroom closet, make sure to keep the art modern and clean, and then leave a copy of the latest Malcolm Gladwell book on his bedside table. A good home stager could make the house speak to a buyer and evoke serious feelings of attachment through his or her design. The idea was to leave a lasting impression so that at the end of a long day of seeing homes, our stage property would quickly jump to top of mind because of the conscious and subconscious connections we created through a very deliberate marketing process. Studies show that staged properties sell 50 to 80% faster than homes that aren't given that same consideration, and it's no secret why. Home is so much more than 4 walls and a collection of furniture or a place to lay your head. Human beings exert a tremendous amount of emotional energy around the spaces that they inhabit. And home stagers know how to channel that emotional energy in order to sell a hope and a dream to an unsuspecting family. For me, leveraging that power to put money in the hands of real estate agents, flippers, and developers proved really unfulfilling. Deep down, I truly desired to make a difference, not only for people who had the privilege of being inspired, but for people who needed that inspiration for their very survival. The truth is, all human beings have various needs and stages of growth, from the most basic levels where survival is the central focus to more complex emotional needs. In Maslow's 1943 paper, A Theory of Human Development, he describes his hierarchy of needs, which you guys may all know, a commonly referenced theory that describes a progressive needs classification system for all humans. Imagine a pyramid with the largest slice on the bottom, representing our primary needs of food, water, warmth, and rest. As the most basic needs are met, we're motivated to progress up the pyramid towards the top, and each new layer represents a set of additional, more complex needs that can only be reached when the primary ones have been met. Maslow describes some of the higher level needs as security intimate relationships, feelings of accomplishment, beauty, creative stimulation, and ultimately, self-actualization. As a home stager, I'd appealed to some of those higher level needs and motivations for prospective home buyers. Those folks were looking for homes to help them climb Maslow's pyramid. They needed to create legacy by growing their families. They needed to feel upwardly mobile. They needed to show a greater social status and possibly even enjoy some beauty along the way. But the question for me was, who is encouraging that person that's stuck in level 1 of Maslow's hierarchy? The person who, because of life circumstances, can't seem to get out of survival mode into a growth orientation. What if I could alter an interior space to stimulate that complex need? What if I could use my skills as a house whisperer to create an environment that would move an individual from a mindset of survival to open up a world of possibilities for a brighter tomorrow? I went in search of those people, and I discovered one common underlying circumstance that seemed to weave itself through every story: trauma. It turns out that some of the symptoms of unresolved trauma, a loss of self-worth, a loss of sense of self, a loss of safety, combined with dissociation and disconnection, keeps many trauma survivors stuck in the bottom of that pyramid, focused on their basic needs and unable to break out into higher levels of consciousness and growth. One thing I've learned from this fellowship is that trauma is not just bad luck or coincidence, but it can be traced to large-scale inequitable systems that were built to keep some people in survival mode. Those very same oppressive systems then send out messaging that its victims believe they're the source of their own suffering, via some fundamental flaw or intrinsic weakness, keeping them bound in cyclical poverty and pain, helplessness and hopelessness. Based on my experience in the field, I knew that interior design would help as a supplemental therapy of sorts, a way to replace that helplessness with hope. And so I started the Oasis Alliance with that mission as the guiding principle, that we could brighten the lives of trauma survivors by curating interior spaces that would encourage and accelerate their growth, recovery, and well-being. I'd like to try to help you guys feel the impact that an environment can have on a trauma survivor, but based on another heavier experience. Are you ready? Close your eyes again. Imagine that you're a 10-year-old girl living with your mother and her new boyfriend. At first, things seem really great. You remember the first time you met him, he brought you a stuffed dog with big round eyes. He seemed to really like your mom, and she was the happiest she'd been since Dad left. After a while, he and your mom get engaged. You help him with the idea to hide a ring on the stem of a pink rose, which is her favorite flower. After the engagement, he began to change some things around the apartment. One day, you come home from school to find your home decorated. The walls are painted aqua blue, and there are daisy wall stickers everywhere. He even put a canopy over your bed. It made you feel like a princess, protected and safe from the creatures of the night. Every night for the last few months, he'd tuck you in, just like your dad used to do before he disappeared. The other night, Mama was working late, and something different happened. This time, instead of tucking you in and leaving, he stayed in your bed. You tell your mother what happened, and she asked him to leave, but she seems confused and sad. And you think that maybe you shouldn't have told her. Maybe you would feel better if you'd never said anything. Every time you pass by that room, you feel. Open your eyes. When Lizzie was referred to our organization by her social worker, she refused to sleep in her own bed, and she wouldn't stay in her room for more than a moment or two. She was having night terrors. Her mom wanted to move out of the apartment, but she couldn't afford it. She requested that a room makeover would help, thinking that it might help her daughter feel safer in her space again. After interviewing Lizzie and her mom using a trauma-informed approach, we co-created a list of interventions. Change and reposition the bed, switch the room color to something happier like orange sherbet, include her personal artwork in her room and an inspirational quote, feature Eleanor Roosevelt, which was one of her lifetime feminist idols at 10 years old, Include basketball, don't make the room too girly, and make sure that her cats had a place to hang out close by. So calling upon my staging skills, I went to work designing a room for Lizzie that appealed to her greater self, the pre-traumatized little girl that needed to come out and play again and live her carefree 10-year-old life. I wish I could show you pictures, but instead I'll just read the letter that I received in the mail a few weeks after the transformation. I keep it framed in my office at home. Dear Danielle, you worked a miracle for my daughter and I. You transformed my daughter's bedroom into a beautiful, peaceful sanctuary full of color and light. For the first time in a long while, my daughter has been able to sleep through the night. Now she spends quiet time in her room, reading and feeling safe and hanging out with her cats. When I first went in, I couldn't help but cry because it was the nicest thing anyone could do for us to help us through this. I will always keep you in my heart because you helped my daughter in a way that no one else could. We're so grateful to the Oasis Alliance for this new beginning. P.S. We shaved our heads like you to feel like warrior queens. And she sent me a picture of their haircut. So here are some things I believe after having done this year for a year and a half and being trained by the Atlantic Fellowship. At times, what you see as a meandering path of interest may lead you to serve a purpose that's way greater than yourself, which is really our highest human need, according to Maslow. Secondly, trauma dims our ability to dream. We're unsafe, and therefore we're unable to see a future for ourselves. Reestablishing a safe, nurturing home environment to ponder new possibilities is vital for healing. Third, mental health equity is a complex endeavor that requires innovation, and both clinical and non-clinical ways of health promotion should be considered. Fourth, the benefits of interior design, including self-expression, attachment, a sense of pride and ownership, a sense of safety, reconnection to higher functions like creativity and self-reflection, should not be underestimated, and they have real-life impact on everyday people. Lastly, do not use home visualization as a relaxation technique if you have 2 little kids. It doesn't work. But seriously, we're tackling this complex puzzle that is mental health and wellness, one space at a time. If we can further enable greatness by co-creating safe spaces for individuals and families, we're going to have more stable, healthy communities. And if you aren't convinced, I'll say it the simplest way I know how. Home is medicine. Thank you.